الحمد لله الذي أحياني بعد أن أماتني وإليه النشور. بعد ما بعدما أماتني وإليه النشور. And then also, I haven't been able to do this, but Murabb al-Hal always, there's a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ recited the end of Ali Imran when he woke up. And, you know, I spent many nights in Murabb al-Hajj's tent every single night when he'd get up, and he always got up. When I was there, he usually got up probably about 4, sometimes 5 hours before Fajr. And always, that was, he'd wake you up reciting those ayahs. And he did it every single time. Muthabara. The ayahs say, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا. And I can hear him saying that, you know, and he, you know, inshallah, Allah gives tawfiq. It's all tawfiq from Allah, you know, to be able to do this. It's a gift from Allah. And the thing, the thing that prevents us from qiyam al-layl and these things is ghiba, you know, eating haram things, all that. That's what stops it. Because this is a gift from Allah. And people that have done it in their lives and then lost it, they know that the time that they were given that, it was a gift from Allah. And when it's taken away, it's like a punishment. So you just make tawbah, ask Allah to give us inshallah all tawfiq. But it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the people of the Qawm, they used to have so much muhasabah of themselves that whenever they were afflicted with something, they knew what caused it. And one of the ulama said, I once said something about somebody I shouldn't have said, and I was deprived tahajjud for 40 days because of it. So they could see like relations of why things happen. And another one, he said, in the end of his life he went bankrupt, and he said he realized it was from 40 years before he had once said to a man, Ya Muflis. And that's what he said. He realized that was the source of, that Allah gave him what he had called that other man, pointed out his fault. So, hasanat al-abrar, sayyat al-muqarrabin. You know, the good actions of righteous people are the bad actions of the... Alhamdulillah, alladhi ahyani ba'dama amatani wa ilayhi nushur means, praise be to the one who brought me back to life after he had caused me to die, and to him is my gathering. I go back to him. Yeah. Just don't do the witr twice. In other words, if you do the witr preferably should be the last prayer. That's the afdal, right? But it's a fadila to do prayers after witr, you know, if you're able to get up. So if you go to bed, it's better to do your witr before, because witr should be done before fajr. And if you wake up and you forgot to, you can still pray it after Fajr. But it's better done before Fajr. And it's a sunnah mu'akkada, it's a strong sunnah. It's wajib in the Hanafi madhab. So the shafa and witr should be done before you go to bed. And then if you get up before the night, you just don't pray the witr. You would do 2-2-2. Qiyam al-layl mathna mathna. The hadith says that getting up at night is 2-2. Mathna mathna. You don't do 4, you do 2-2. What's that? I didn't understand. Yeah, I'm saying you can do tahajjud after witr. It's preferable to delay the witr to be the last prayer of the night. That is preferable. But it's perfectly acceptable. Put it this way. If you are absolutely certain as you can be in anything in this world, that you get up before Fajr, then it would be preferable for you to delay your prayer to Fajr. If you're somebody who's every night, you wake up a half hour or an hour before Fajr, and you get up and you're able to pray your witr, if that's your practice, and you're consistent in that, and you're confident in yourself that you can do that, it is better to delay the witr. If, on the other hand, you're somebody that you don't do that as a constant practice, it is better to pray your witr before you go to sleep. Ahzam. Right? It's better. Afdal. And then, if you get up during the night, before Fajr, you do your tahajjud without finishing it with witr. Because you've already prayed witr and there's only one witr in the night. Do you understand? Huh? Oh, okay. English nahi ma'lum hai? Huh? That's all the Urdu I know. They say somebody went to, They said this Afghani joke. They say, Afghani, are you Afghani? No. They say this American went to Afghanistan and he wanted to find the greatest spiritual teacher in Afghanistan because he heard that Afghanistan had all these spiritual saints. So he went to this Afghani man and he said in English, like Americans do, assuming everybody knows English, he said, who's the greatest spiritual teacher in Afghanistan? And the Afghani looked at him and he said, Nami Fahmam. So he said, Nami Fahmam. So he starts going around looking for Nami Fahmam. And so he sees there's a funeral, right, going by. And he sees the funeral and there's all these people looking. He goes up to one of the Afghanis watching the funeral and he said, who just died? He said, Nami Fahmam. So he said, I just missed him. Nami Fahmam means I don't know in Persian, right? And then another thing, just about taking this easy and not getting. Sheikh Habib said in his in a qasida, he said, "وَاسْلُكْ بِنَفْسِكَ السَّبِيلَ الرِّفْقِ لكي يكون سيرها بالشوق فإن ركعتين من محب أفضل من ألف من غير حب." He said that go the path of ease with yourself. In other words, don't wipe out yourself because you need yourself. You don't want to. Your horse has to get you to where you're going. So you treat your horse well. Don't overdo it. Right? He's not saying don't be lazy, but don't wear your horse out till it can't take you anymore. And in order for you to move along with yearning. You see, because if you're not too hard on yourself, then yourself will do these things. Like if you try to stay up the whole night, that's too hard on the self. If you try to stay up half the night, it's too hard on the self. And so the self it'll just lose its energy. Whereas if you start just doing a little bit, then there's a shok because you start tasting it and you get the benefit of it, and then you desire it. So actually you're looking forward to it. The self begins to look forward to it. Right? And that's what he's saying. And then he says, because 2 rakats done from a lover is better than 1,000 done without love. So if you do 2 rakats with shok, you want to desire, you're really desirous of Allah's pleasure and ease. If you do those 2 rakats, then Allah will love it. But if you're there doing, I have to do these and it's important and I have to, and you're doing that, there's no love there. You're doing it with this idea in your head. So that's, the point is out of a yearning for Allah that this should all come. As a mahabba from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alright? And then he says, wasamtu. Silence, one of the, obviously, led to al-kalam. Kalam is ladhiz for most people, to speak. And that's why the Prophet said, man utiya samta faqad utiya al-hikmah. Whoever was given silence, just as part of his nature, he's been given wisdom. There's a wisdom in being silent. Just in being silent, even if he's an ignorant person, if he was given silence, he has a wisdom. Which is, if you're an ignorant person, don't make a fool out of yourself. If you have something to say, then in that case, speech is better than silence. If you have nothing to say, then it's mubah. Right? But there's no benefit in it. It's just mubah. Now, if that mubah kalam is, how are you, where have you been, this and that, that's fine. But if it's, did you hear about so-and-so, then it moves to either makruh or haram. And so learning how to control the tongue that's a big discipline. Imam Shafi'i radiallahu anhu said that when he was in a gathering and needed to say something, he always looked into himself to make sure that that he wasn't saying it out of a desire from his nafs to prove something or to show his knowledge. He checked first that is it acceptable to him that somebody else would say the same thing. And he said if he was aware of that, then he would say it. If he wasn't, he would remain silent as a tarbiyah for his nafs. And he also said, radiallahu anhu, that I never had a debate with anyone except that I prayed to Allah. He made a dua that Allah would make the truth manifest on his opponent's tongue so that he could submit to it. In other words, he didn't want to win the debate. He would actually prefer to lose the debate so it would make him humble. And that's a rajul. I mean, that's a man. So that's the point, is that and the Prophet kana asmat an-nas. He was the most quiet of people. وَإِذَا تَكَلَّمَ تَكَلَّمَ بِالْحَقِّ. When he spoke the truth. So he was not somebody who was what's called farfar. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّ أَبْعَدَكُمْ مِنِّي وَأَبْغَضَكُمْ إِلَيَّ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الثرثارين المتفيهقين الثرثارين. There's three things. الثرثارين والمتفيهقين is the last one. And they knew the ثرثارين and they knew the second one. They didn't know the متفيهق. He said it was متكبر. ثرثار is somebody that speaks a lot. ثرثرة يثرثروا. They speak a lot. So he didn't like people that just spoke all the time, right? Chatterbox, what they call chatterbox. If you're teaching, if you're saying something useful, it's another thing. But if it's just kalam for kalam's sake, then it's a waste of time. And Imam Malik radiallahu anhu said about one man, one of his students, he said, نِعْمَ الرَّجَلْ إِلَّا أَنَّهُ يَتَكَلَّمُ كَلَامَ شَهْرٍ فِي يَوْمٍ واحد. He's a good man except he speaks a month's worth of talking in one day. And then al-fikra wa huwa khali. Fikra means wa huwa khali means literally to be in a place where there's nobody around and you're reflecting. And that's called meditation in English. To meditate is a practice, right? Not like a yogic or something like that, but literally sitting and meditating. And basically there's different ways to do that. And you get into different traditions within the tradition of Islam. Some will do a tafakkur fil maut, like doing ahwal al-qiyamah, which is a practice. So you can literally, you sit and you go through the qiyamah, the visualization of going through the raising in the grave and these type of things. Other is to do tafakkur in the divine name. So you go through the divine names. Right? Ya Allahu, Ya Rahmanu, Ya Rahimu. Right? You go through the divine names and reflect on the attributes. Things like that. Right? So, fikra wa huwa khali is useful for the heart. And then, صحبة الأخيار أهل الصدق من يهتدى بحالهم والنطق. This is keeping the company of good people. And it comes from a Quranic injunction in which Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Have taqwa and be with the truthful ones. In other words, sahba. And this is what they call in Persia sahbat. You know, keeping good company with the righteous people in order to purify your heart. And Imam Ibn Ata'illah radiallahu anhu says in the Hikam, لا تصحاب إلا لا تصحاب من لا ينهضك حاله ولا يدلك على الله مقاله. Don't take as a companion somebody whose state does not elevate you and his speech does not direct you to Allah. And Sidi Ahmed Zarruq says in his commentary, he's not talking about shuyukh, he's talking about your friends that you spend time with. In other words, you should find people that are going to elevate your state, not to bring it down. And by elevating your state, their state is elevated, so you become elevated. What it means is that their hal with Allah is that they're in a good state. They're in a state of gratitude. So if you're with people in a state of gratitude, it's hard to complain around them. Right? You can't, because they're saying, Alhamdulillah, subhanAllah, I feel really grateful, subhanAllah, Allahu Akbar, Allah has given us so much. And so you're sitting there going, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't agree with you, life's tough and blah, blah, blah. He's in a different hal from you. So if you're the one in shukr, don't be with the one in shakwa. And if you're the one in shakwa, desire to be with the one in shukr in order for you to become like him. So don't bring him down, let him bring you up. That's what it's saying. And then also that their speech directs you to Allah. There's people that if you did complain to them, they would say, Subhanallah, Allah says, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَهُ لَا تَحْصُوهَا. If you try to enumerate His blessings, you can't enumerate them. That's for everybody. So maybe you should just try enumerating His blessings instead of looking at the trouble. So they help you change your focus and remind you. And it's amazing how a person's state can be changed by just sitting with somebody who gives them good and sincere advice. Really, they can completely turn that heart around, and a person who was completely black and negative, because the effect of it was useful and valuable, they change their perspective, and that's guidance. So you want that, and then Sidi Abu al-Hasan radiallahu anhu said, مَنْ دَلَّكَ عَلَى الدُّنْيَا فَقَدْ غَشَّكَ. Whoever tells you to go to the world, he's cheated you. Right? So if they tell you, oh, you know what you should do with your life? You really want to do good financial planning and get, this house and blah, blah, and all these, and that's their whole focus. They're indicating to you that he's cheated you, because you could die at any moment. And this is why the example that I like to use is the example of, if there's two salesmen, there's a salesman, right? And he comes and he says, I've got 2 houses for sale. One of them, if you buy it, the only problem with it is it could disappear at any time. And I can't tell you how long it's going to be around. Maybe 50 years. Maximum, it'll only be about 70 years. And then it definitely will disappear. But any time during that time, it could disappear. But I have another house that's going to last forever. And it's guaranteed. But it's more expensive. So which one is he going to buy? Right? Seriously, which one are you going to buy? Any man with intellect or woman with intellect, they're going to buy the more expensive one. And that's akhirah. And you buy it with your soul. It's for sale, you buy it with your soul. And the other one, you buy with your soul as well. But you buy it by destroying your soul, not by saving it. Khalas. So, keeping good company with people and having them. And then he said, من دلك على ومن دلك على العمل فقد أتعبك. And the one who tells you, oh, quick, do lots of deeds and all these things, he's just exhausted you. In other words, if you think that you're going to get to Jannah by your deeds, you're going to exhaust yourself. ومن دلك على الله فقد نصحك. But the one who indicates to how to get to Allah, which means the contentment of Allah, right? That one, he has given you sincere counsel. Because if you're content with Allah, a little action will be enough for you. But if you're not content with Allah, even if you do tons of action, it's not enough. And then he says, finally taking refuge, and then he says, وَالِامْتِجَالِ مَنْ إِلَيْهِ تَرْجِعُوا الْأُمُورُ فَهُوَ طِبُّهُنَّ الْأَنْفَعُ. To finally take refuge in the one unto whom all affairs return. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُ الْأَمْرُ كُلُّهُ. To Allah, all the affairs return. So, seeking refuge in Allah, فَهُوَ طِبُّهُنَّ الْأَنْفَعُ. Of all these diseases, it's the best disease. And this is why Sayyid ibn Aisha radiallahu anhu says, لَيْسَ الدَّوَاء إِلَّا فِي اضْطِرَارِ لَهُ. He says the only real cure for all these diseases is اضطرار, muttar, to just go to Allah with complete, please, I have to change. You have to help me change. And there has to be a real sense of urgency with Allah. And if that's the situation, then inshallah Allah will help us change. And for me personally, I know that I really believe that my coming to Islam was a result of a state that I got into before I was Muslim, in which I was in that state. Complete muttar. And I called on Allah in the name that I knew, which is God, But I asked God, just give me guidance, show it to me. And I was in a complete state of ittirar. And I can remember that. And most of the people that I met who became Muslim, they will confirm that they had similar states, that it was really getting to a state of just absolute, just show me what to do. And then that guidance just opened up, became very clear. Khalas. And then it's easy after that, inshallah. I think that Allah is merciful, and if there's sincerity with somebody, inshallah, that even if in their own limited understanding of how they perceive. I mean, there's an apocryphal story, and it's apocryphal, so there's no aqidah based on it or anything, but it's a wisdom that's been told about the Musa alayhi salam meeting the man who's telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how he just wants to wash his feet and give him a massage and do all these things, and he's an anthropomorphist and he doesn't know, and Musa scolds him and explains the real tawheed and this and that and does things. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds Musa that he was harsh on the man, and the man was saying those things out of love for Allah, but he was ignorant. And so the thing to do is teach the ignorant person, right? So that, the idea is that everybody is at the level that they're at. So even the one who's going to the idol, that's his understanding, and that's where he's at. And that's why Allah says, وَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا, right? Don't make for Allah andad وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And you know that it's wrong. So once knowledge comes to you, that's when Allah does not, that's when shirk destroys you. If you don't have any knowledge, then Allah, if He hasn't sent His messenger to you, He's not going to punish you. مَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. So if you don't know about Islam and you're asking for guidance, then inshallah that guidance comes. وَاللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَلَمْ. And then he says, بِأَنْ يَكُونَ كَغَرِيقٍ أو كمن ضل بتيه لا يرى الغياث من سوى المهيمن العظيم القدر فهو المجيب دعوة المضطر. So here he's saying, that you have to be like somebody who's drowning, or someone lost in a barren desert and sees no source of succor except for the God. And this is what happened to Yusuf Islam. I heard him say this in a lecture he gave of how he became guided, and he said he was drowning in Malibu. That he was being pulled out by the undertow, which is really dangerous. And he actually said that he completely called on God. He said, just give me guidance and I'll follow it. And I'll do whatever you tell me. And that's the ghariq. That's somebody like, they're a ghariq. There's nothing else you can do. And that's why Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl, his guidance came on a boat, right? In which there were Habashi Christians on the boat. And it started, the waves started taking it, and they thought they were going to drown. And he started calling on Hubal. And these Christians were laughing at him. They said, you're calling on an idol made out of wood in Mecca to help you here? And he said, he realized how stupid it was. That he could only call on Allah in that place. And then Tawheed came into his heart. So that's the idea of being like the one drowning. Right? And he says that in fact is the most beneficial. In other words, that really is the one that will help us. This must be to the point at which you are like a man drowning or someone anyway. So that's that. Now, about, let's see. Then he says, actions that purify the heart. وَمَا بِهِ لِلْقَلْبِ صَفٌ مِّنْ عَمَلٍ أَنْفَعُهُ هُوَ الْمُدَامُ وَلَوْ يَقِلْ. So as for action that is beneficial in purifying the heart, none is more beneficial than that which is consistent, even if it is slight. And this is from the hadith, خَيْرُ الْأَعْمَالِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلْ. The best actions are the continuous ones, even if they're a little bit. So he's saying the most beneficial, because what you're doing, you see, look, if I take a coin and I polish it really hard for a few polishes, and then I put it down, you take the same coin and just very slowly, with not much pressure, polish it, and just keep polishing it, and keep polishing it, and keep polishing it. It'll become bright and shiny. Whereas doing it once vigorously won't do the work that doing a little bit, but continuously will do. And the heart, how it gets encrusted with wrong actions, is the same situation. If you do a whole bunch at one time, it's like doing that vigorous rubbing. But if you do just a little bit, consistently, the heart, over time, that crust begins to break off. And that's why a little bit done consistently is much better than a lot done. And the proof that the Sahaba, they were always consistent in their actions. In other words, even the man who asked the Prophet ﷺ to fast, the fast of Dawood, he regretted it in his old age. But the ulama took that as a proof that they used to even consider the nafilah something they wouldn't leave. Not because it was fard, but because it was something they had taken upon themselves to do. And if you read the hadith about the Prophet ﷺ used to fast so much we thought he never broke his fast, and sometimes he didn't fast but we thought that he never fasted, and then sometimes he used to stay so much in the night we thought he never slept, and other times he would be that we didn't think he did much qiyam. Remember something very important about the Messenger of Allah. The Messenger of Allah is the universal prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In other words, his being is accompanying the possibilities of every good believer. So every good believer has in him a model. And there are people who do not have qiyam as one of the openings Allah gives them. There are people that won't have recitation of Quran as an opening Allah gives them. Their opening will be in hadith. There will be other people whose openings will be in sadaqah, and they won't be in fasting. There are other people whose openings will be in fasting, and it won't be in sadaqah. There will be some people whose openings are in hikmah, and it won't be in other things. So very few people ever have all of them. And this is why when the Prophet talked about the different gates of Jannah, and one of them was for the faster, there's a gate for the mujahideen, Abu Bakr says, Ya Rasulullah, أَيَدْخُلُ أَحَدٌ هَذِهِ الْأَبْوَابِ كُلَّهَا? Does anyone get to go in all of them? And he said, نَعَمْ يَا أَبَا بَكْرَ وَأَرْجُ أَن تَكُنْ مِنْهُمْ. There are people who do that, and I hope that you're one of them. And now as they say, I hope he was. But it's so no ujub and things like that. In other words, keep working, and that's to all of us as well. So the point is, there will be people that have these broad-based tawfiq. But Imam Malik was somebody, he wore very nice clothes. He used the best scent. He liked oud. He used to burn the oud. He was somebody that outwardly, when the zuhad looked at him, they thought he was very extravagant. And one of the zuhad wrote him a letter and said, I can't believe your state. You guys, you eat the best flour, you wear all these fancy clothes, the perfume you have costs so much money, this and that. You would be better giving all that stuff up and spending less time with people. Because he used to teach a lot, so he was talking in the masjid a lot. So the Zahid was telling Imam Malik, look, compared to me, you're in bad shape. Right? And this is mujab. And Imam Malik wrote back to him an incredible letter. And he said, Ya Abdullah, right, servant of Allah, اعلم أن الله قد فتح على عباده من أبواب شتى. Allah has opened up for His servants many doors of khayr. And He said, فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ فَتَحَ عَلَيْهِ فِي الصِّيَامِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ فَتَحَ عَلَيْهِ فِي الزَّكَاةِ فِي الصَّدَقَةِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ فَتَحَ عَلَيْهِ فِي الْجِهَادِ ومنهم من فتح عليه في الزهد ومنهم من فتح عليه في العبادة ومنهم من فتح عليه في العلم والتعليم. And he said, فأنا قد رضيت بما فتح الله علي به. He said, Allah, some He gave an opening in fasting, some in charity, some in zakah, all these different things. He said, some in knowledge and teaching the people. He said, I'm pleased with what Allah has opened up for me. And he said, وَلَا أَحْسِبُ أَنَّنِي فِي أَقَلَّ مَا أَنْتَ فِي. I don't think that I'm in something less than what you're in. In other words, all your zuhud and your good state, he confirmed it. But he said, I don't think that what I'm doing is less than that. And that's not mu'jib, it's qawl al-haq. You know, it's telling somebody the truth. So the point being is, you know, where you see your facilitation, follow that. You know, follow that. And recognize that, you know, there are there's limitations. We won't get tawfiq in everything, but inshallah we get tawfiq in something. And then, yeah, the door of humility. Yeah, dhul wa tadarra. And then he says, وَعَمَلٌ عَنْكَ شُهُدُهُ أَفَعَلْ أَوْ لِحُبَابٍ أَوْ جَلَالًا أَنْفَعَلْ. Include action done in the absence of witnesses or action done for his love or in awe of him. So he's saying also that it's beneficial to do actions done where there's no other people. That's good for the heart. Right? It's good for the heart. For instance, a lot of people, and you know, but to give charity, nobody knows. It's better. If you open it, ni'mah, you know, it's a good thing. If you give charity openly, it's a good thing. But to give charity secretly is better, right? To do prayers that people don't see is better. To do those, it's better to protect yourself from riyah, right? And ujub and these type things. Once Bishr al-Hafi was walking, he was very well-known zahid. Actually, Bishr al-Hafi, it wasn't Bishr al-Hafi. Fubayl ibn Iyad. Fubayl ibn Iyad was once walking down a street, and somebody said, there goes a man that spends the whole night in prayer. And immediately Fubayl heard it, he burst into tears. And he said, I can't remember ever spending one night in prayer, the whole night. And he said, how honored Allah how great Allah has honored me by veiling me and making people think I'm better than I am. So, you know, that idea of hiding and concealing the state, right, is better. And then action done for love. That's the highest action. They say there's two actions. He said, mahabba or jalal. Man khafa maqama rabbihi. It's a jalal of Allah. It's not doing it out of fear of the punishment of Allah. Although that's one reason for doing actions. It's the lowest one. And it still shouldn't be belittled because Allah tells us to have khawf. But if you have khafa maqamu, it's jalal. There's hayba. And you have a sense of hayba of Allah and how great Allah is. On the other hand, it's the mahabba is from Allah's rahmah and the mahabba of Allah and yearning for Allah that you do things, that's the best one. And he tells you that the last maqam is mahabba. Maqam al-mahabba is the highest one. وَعَمْرُ الزَّاهِدِ مِنْ أَزْكَ الْعَمَلِ بِعَفِّ رَاغِبٍ فَسَعْيُهُ جَلَلٍ. Also, the purest of actions is done by someone free of worldly wants. The zahid, he's doing it not for anything. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. We don't want thanks or gratitude. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. We're doing this for the sake of Allah. So that person that's the highest action. There's no zahid, there's no tama'. Even in akhirah or dunya is worse. But akhirah, even tama' in akhirah, you just do it for the sake of Allah. That's the highest and best action for the heart. And zuhud is feeling, it's a lack of want. That's what it is. The zahid is not like the ascetic. In Christianity, they have the ascetic who like wears harsh clothes
flagellation, all this type, does all the fasting and everything. In Islam, the ascetic is the one who the thing is not in the heart. That's why Abdurrahman bin Auf was a zahid, even though he was wealthy. And then he says, وَعَمْرَ الرَّاجِينَ أَسْنَى وَأَجَلْ مِنْ سَعْيِ مَنْ دَعَاهُ لِلسَّعِي الْوَجَلِ. And the actions of those who strive out of hope are higher and more exalted than one who is compelled by fear. So if you're doing things, مَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُ اللَّهُ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرِ. You يَرْجُ Allah. It's not يَخَافَ Allah. He said, وَلَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ إِسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Right? You have in the Messenger of Allah the best example, لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُ اللَّهُ. The one who hopes for Allah. It didn't say لِمَنْ كَانَ يَخَافَ Allah. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, أَنَا أَخْشَاكُمْ لِلَّهِ. But the Prophet is the Habib Allah. He is the lover of Allah, and Allah loves him. So he loved Allah, and Allah loved him. Safahu Allah. So that's the height. And then he says, وَمَا تَعَدَّ نَفْعُهُ لِغَيْرِهِ أَوْ شَقَّ بِالنَّفْسِ كَصَوْمِ الشَّرِهِ. Particularly action whose benefits extend to others. Action that benefits the heart. If it extends to others, it's very good. In other words, to give out in charity is a high action. Why? Because the benefit not only benefits you and your soul, but it benefits another human being. وَفِي كُلِّ كَبِدٍ رَطَبٍ أَجَرٍ. In every moist liver, in other words, in every living thing, there's a reward. To actually feed animals, to a place where birds eat. If you plant a tree, every animal that eats, bird that eats from that tree, as long as that tree stands, you get a reward for it. Right? So all of those things